Morning, and welcome back to Farmers Unite News. As most of our viewers already know, the farmers of Springfield, Massachusetts are suffering from a great injustice.
The legislature of the state of Massachusetts has been oppressing the veterans of this country by refusing to compensate them for their service. And to make it all worse, they are still charging them for their high tax they acquired from starting new farms.
For those of you with us today, here are the specifics.
Daniel Shays, the leader of the rebellion, has already directed and successfully performed a protest at the Court of Common Pleas on August 29, 1786. Though his efforts weren't recognized until his group attempted to raid the Springfield Armory on January 26. Although this attempt was dismantled, 4 innocent farmers were killed in the process.
We rushed a field operative to the scene as soon as the protest at the court began. Some of these images might be hard for certain viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Inside look on the scene of the crime, I have expert field reporter Sophia Van Zee here to give you the scoop.
Thanks, Grace. Here I am at the Court of Common Pleas with leader of the rebellion, Daniel Shays. This courthouse is where Shays led his group of rebellions to begin their protests last night against the cruelty of the government. Let's hear what he has to say. Let me start by asking you your overall motives behind your rebellion. What led you to revolt?
I felt that the government was acting unsympathetic toward the veterans that risked everything they had during the Revolutionary War. We haven't received any sort of compensation for our service, and we are being continually highly taxed.
My fellow farmers were being thrown in prison for their inability to pay a debt they shouldn't even have. And in some cases, the land was being confiscated as well.
I'm sorry, but it was so heartbreaking.
That's interesting. It must have been hard for you and your fellow farmers to return after the war with such great injustice. Is there anything else you have to add?
That money-hungry weasel James Bowdoin was behind the whole thing.
He was digging for money wherever he could, and he took advantage of us farmers.
Thank you, Daniel. Now let's go back to Grace and see what she has to say.
Wow, what a terrible situation they're in. I can't believe that they would treat their fellow Americans like that. It's so hard to understand what each side was thinking. In order to get a closer look behind the scenes, we sent Sophia back out to have an interview with Chief Justice William Whiting to hear what he has to say about these tragic circumstances.
I met up with Justice William Whiting at his estate to discuss why he felt the need to support the poor farmers through their rebellion. In order for our viewers to have a better understanding, can you explain to me why you are a supporter of Daniel Shays' rebellion?
I know for a fact that the wealthy state legislator was only trying to pocket as much money as they could from those poor, innocent farmers. Coming from a wealthy, conservative member of society, I could tell that the farmers were being taken advantage of and it needed to be stopped. That is why I have supported Shays' cause since the beginning. Thank you.
I'm sure that those farmers were very grateful for your help. Now let's go back to Grace and see what she has to say.
Wow, hearing that from a respectable member of society really adds to the tragic reality of this situation. Let's hear what Governor James Bowdoin, an opposing figure, had to say when asked about how he felt about the rebellion.
As the governor of Massachusetts, everyone's always trying to accuse me of stealing their money. But in reality, I am just trying to create peace and recover the money that was owed. It's not my fault the farmers couldn't pay it. I am just trying to suppress the violent actions, and they just take it the wrong way.
I think it's very clear how he felt. Now let's take a final look at our interview with Samuel Adams, another opposing figure, when he was asked the same question.
I want them dead.
Wow, aggressive. After hearing how those powerful men felt about this, I think it's safe to say that this whole rebellion is a perfect example of a tragic event in our nation's history. Even though this uprising caused a lot of suffering and tension between the groups, I think it's obviously going to play a role in the development of our nation's government.
I think we can all agree that the Articles of Confederation that we are currently living under definitely has some major problems. It is evident that we need a system in place to end future outcries like this one before they can cause any sort of damage. Hopefully, in future years, we will develop a new type of stable government that can balance state rights and government power,